All right, finally we're on.
Better late than never.
Oh, you gotta love technology. I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, we're here, and we had a few glitches, but here we go. And
Well, first was my fault, of course, because here I started the song. We got a minute and a half into it, our intro there, and realized I didn't hit go live. That was
it happens.
first. And then
Well-
they screwed up on us, and they locked us out of Facebook for a second. So
So we had to set a new link.
yeah,
And here we are.
we
And,
are.
and while I was waiting for you to get that all fixed, I accidentally pulled the plug from the wall, and I was in darkness. So my computer died and rebooted, and thank God I got a much newer computer, and it reboots really fast.
Yeah,
So
same with us. You can see the monitor behind me. That's our new. I think it's like I could be wrong. It's like a 32-inch or something. BenQ.
yeah,
So
there you go. So that's
Yeah.
a new acquisition, and
It
you have new lights. We're going to talk about some technical stuff today. Your new lights and other stuff. And then we're going to get into a completely sort of different head trippy topic. I want to talk about mindset stuff. So I got some exciting stuff, man. You're going to thank me later when you hear about this stuff. Honestly, it's pretty good. Only for those who are really serious about growing a successful and profitable photography business. So we like to combine both and many other topics, because they all interplay: the technical, the creative, the social, the networking, and what have you. So, speaking about networking, before we get into your new lights and all that, I gave Maggie a call down in Oakville. I called her about an hour and a half ago as I was driving towards the studio here. Had a nice conversation. Maggie, it doesn't matter what happens with her. She's always filled with radiance, love, and positivity.
yeah, if she could, she'd give you a flower right through the phone.
She would. So, yeah, we had an interesting conversation. She's really having a hard time, as we all are, with these stupid, lame-ass lockdowns, which I don't like lockdowns. I don't think that they're the way to go.
No,
and
I agree.
she's definitely on that. And she's contacted many. She knows a lot of people.
Yeah.
And she calls her MP, who she's personal friends with. She's friends with the mayors. She's a very, very well-connected individual. And Oakville, as you know, John, and many others who know anywhere, if you know anything about Ontario, Oakville and Burlington area is like the heart, the apex of the Golden Triangle down in southern Ontario. That's where
Yep.
all the money is.
Exactly.
So she has built her photography business up using primarily events and networking, and through those events, and she's had like red carpet gala affairs and theatrical performances, done some amazing stuff, and gotten connected with so many people. And well, you know her.
Yep.
I know her. She's so open and welcoming, and people just naturally gravitate towards her. So
Yeah.
she's doing some amazing stuff to try and convince the powers that be that, hey, enough already.
Definitely.
Let us go back to work. So hopefully more on that later. So, John,
Yes, sir.
what do you got to say for yourself there, young man?
Nothing much. Just trying to keep as busy as I can with this whole lockdown stuff going on. And the worst part about it is I'm hearing that it's a possibility that even though we're supposed to come out of this on next Thursday, the 20th of May,
Going to
they're
June,
talking
right?
about pushing it to June 2nd now.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, we've pretty much come to terms with that. We have a wedding on June 5th, and we contacted them today. My wife was on the phone with them,
Yeah.
and they're all freaking out, like, what are we going to do? Well, there's only so much we can do.
Exactly.
And my wife, and they're trying to get their wedding license organized, and they're having a
Yep.
hard time because the city is not doing what the city's supposed to be doing. So my wife suggested that she call them and see if they will make an exception for them. They did. They called back, and boom, their wedding license is secured.
Good.
So that's sort of a good thing. And, it's very frustrating dealing with all this. And
Well, it is because they keep changing the rules. Because I know with the last lockdown from the December 26th until I want to say sometime in February there, I was told by one of the inspectors, as they call them at the health unit, when I talked to them, that when they all talked about the photography, that I couldn't do anything in my studio with any people. I couldn't have people in my studio. But if I wanted to go on location and set up, like if Remax or something wanted me to set up to do headshots of all their realtors, I could set up on location and do it. I just couldn't do here, which didn't make sense to me.
No.
But now I called them later last week actually, because I had a client one of my corporate clients here that wanted me to come, and she has 2 people. I'm their headshot photographer. Every time she gets a new employee, she sends them to me. She has 2 new ones that she needs shots of. Plus, she needs me to go and do some branding shots for them with their chiropractor of him working on a patient and stuff like that. And so I called them and said, "Am I allowed to do it like last time?" They're like, "Nope, you can't do anything with people. I can do my product photography in here if I want, and I can do." Real estate or stuff for essential businesses like MLS real estate type photos, but I cannot do person-to-person photographs, whether I'm outside, on location, or in my studio. We're totally not allowed to do people.
Well, I've done a few.
So, yeah.
Who knew? I'm going to claim ignorance. It's happened, and but it's really,
Well, I'm sure you're not the only one either. So I mean, I just couldn't afford it only because for some reason you've seen my studio where I am on that main street there, and for some reason we keep getting people checking in on us all the time. Like I even had Cheryl Gallant, who is our local MP for this area. She her office called me last week, early last week, can I do a passport for them? And I'm like, well, no, I'm not allowed to do it. She's like, okay, well, thank you. And she hung up. Now I don't know if this person that works for her was just checking in on me to see if really I'm following the rules, or if she really is that kind of not very bright and calling me to see if I could do it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with option B, John. I don't think they're that malicious where they're going to start spying on people. Even though so insane.
Yeah.
When they announced the extension to the lockdowns, and they were like, we're going to give the cops the authority to stop you and ask. And all the cops in Ontario said, no, not going to happen.
Exactly.
And if you ever get to talk to the chief of the police in your area or any cops, you're going to see their attitude. They think it's silly.
Yeah.
And there's no way. And I think if you actually got caught sort of breaking a few rules, as long as you're not obvious about it, I think they'll probably go, you know what, just don't do that. And I'd be like, okay.
That's what they told me the first time was they first will warn you. They're not going to just come in and just throw you a fine unless you're blatantly going out of the way to do it. But if you just say, well, you know what, like I thought I could do this, I didn't realize it, and that they'll give you a warning first type of thing before they'll fine you. So
Maggie's on fire, and she's pulling all stops to try and convince the authorities because she thinks that they are delusional, and I agree with her on that one. And you just said a minute ago, it doesn't make any sense. And I'll tell you why they're doing what they're doing. Science. Science. Because we know on January 3rd, it's going to be fine.
Yeah. And plus, I think they don't want to open up this on the 20th because that's the Canada long weekend, the May12 long weekend. They're afraid to open it up for that.
Anyways, yeah, it's insane. So let's get on to happier topics as we struggle through this and talk about cool things like buying equipment. So what was your latest acquisitions? Tell us all about it.
One was, I told you before, was the turntable that I got, and that came in a couple weeks ago, and I finally got a chance to play with that. And then the other one was last week, showed up. I'll see if we can see this or not. I'm going to try and pick it up because it's not too light, but
there we
it's
go.
not easy when you got headphones on, too.
No.
But
your superpowers are being tested.
They are, but I got this nice little kit here.
Wow, what's in there?
In there, and so
that's
I'm going to put it down on the ground, though. But it's a cool little soft case they give you, which helps.
Is that your turntable?
Nope. That's the first thing that's in there. Is my nice little Godox. It's the
AD600 Pro, so it's TTL.
It's got TTL, high speed sync, fully. It's the newest one. I figured if I'm gonna go, I might as well. And it comes with this little. Comes actually with a built-in reflector. I don't know if the one you got, the BM, came with the reflector. It's not a 7-inch reflector, but it comes with its own little reflector there. Yeah. Which is nice to protect it. And
it comes off though, right?
It comes right off. You just hold this, you turn it, because the reflector's got the Bowens mount on it.
Nice.
So that's the light itself. Oops.
See, now that's no, I don't know if it's different than mine. No, this is sort of the same bulb, yeah.
Yeah, basically they just have it in a case in there. It's got, and they actually put the frost on the front of it this time.
I noticed that, and I noticed it's got the glass case around it with the holes punched through it for ventilation.
So it's really nice. It tries to protect it that way. So you put the thing on to protect it, and I shoot like that. Unless you're going to put your soft boxes on them, then of course you have to take that reflector off so you can put your soft boxes on, because it does have the Bowens mount. And then of course it comes with its nice lithium ion battery. That's one reason I got it, which would just fit right on the back there.
Same as what I got on my AD600, but I've
Yeah.
got the BM, which is an all manual.
Yeah. So it comes with that. So that was the main part of the kit. It was an actual kit of 3 lights. So that was the main beast for it.
You got a
So
handle.
600 watt powers.
It's even got a handle.
It's even got a nice handle, and it's all
I don't
metal
know.
body and a metal, and the actual reflector's metal too.
I
And the
gotta
other
get-
change too, they said, is on the newer ones like the Pro compared to the BM and stuff, is the part here that goes on your light stand is metal. It's not plastic. I think
That's
yours
good.
might be metal or plastic. I'm not
I
sure.
gotta check it out. I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's important. You wouldn't think of something like that, but that is
No.
pretty critical.
So I haven't had a chance to use this yet. I've just played around with it in the studio, just popping it off and seeing how to work it and that.
John,
But
you're
with
gonna love
that-
it. You're gonna love it. I use mine all the time.
And with that kit came with 2 of these nice little bad boys.
Nice.
And they're the newer ones, the Pro version.
Yep.
So it comes, of course, with the Fresnel head on it, like a normal flash would. And the one thing I liked about this is I had 3 originally. I'm down to 1 now, but I had 3 of the Young Nuo 600 whatever flashes, like the normal Canon flash that you'd put on your camera, speed light.
Uh-huh.
It was the Young Nuo version of the
Yep.
Canon, and 2 of them busted on me, so I'm down to 1. But I had bought before the, I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're the colored gels that you can put on that come with an elastic. It's an elastic that goes on,
Right.
and then the gels cover this whole square, and then it's got little tabs on the end that you just put into the elastics on both sides. And I use those with my speed lights all the time.
Nice.
And I tried it, and they fit this too. So I'll
Nice.
actually be able to use all. It has color correction gels plus all different colors and stuff.
Bonus.
So I was glad for that. So it came with 2 of these kits. So this is just the way it is. And right now the battery's in this one because I used it yesterday, and we'll go over that afterwards.
Keep talking. I'll be right back.
Yep, go right ahead. So it's got the battery that comes out, which is nice. That's why I bought these kits, is because I was doing it for on location lighting where I don't have to plug my stuff in. So that was one reason. And I'm just trying to push it back in here. There we go. But with this, with that, it came. Both of my AD200s came with this separate little case that fits in my big case. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yep. I got a couple of those.
Yeah,
I
and
never
so
use them.
What comes in with it, the reason I kept it for now, is
I keep all mine in my old. This is from the 90s bag.
oh yeah, I have one like that too. But with
It's
my
older than
AD200 came with a little head thing on it here for your tripod. I don't know if you can see that. That
Yep.
came with it,
That's a bonus.
so I can use that with it. Of course, it came with its charger to charge up the battery, but it also comes, which I really like, because if you're going to use your soft boxes or something, or you want more, just a little extra power, it came with this little attachment,
yeah.
which basically you just slide the top Fresnel light off. Easier said than done when you're using one hand, but you just slide that part, it just slides right off, and there goes my Fresnel head. And you can put this guy on somehow. There we go. So you put that other head on, and of course they say you should, before you put another bulb in, remove the battery. You shouldn't put it in when the battery's in there.
I did not know that.
I probably should use gloves with this, but I'm not going to. And you match up the little red dots here, and you push that in, and then it comes with the bare bulb
Cool.
for the 200.
Hold on. I got to show you something.
Yep, and this comes good for the soft boxes, and
Look at mine.
there you go.
This is what I use.
Yep,
I bought this on Amazon,
very cool.
as well as 2 of these
Yep, which I have to get those still.
with the color gel kits, which the color gels fit right inside the grid here.
Yep,
So I can use that or that. Similar, very versatile. Totally love my Godox system. I would
and then the good thing I liked about it too is it also came with 2 of these.
I did. Oh, those are protectors, aren't they?
Yeah, protectors when you have just that bulb on, so you can just stick
Yeah,
it in there.
I didn't get
Find
the
it where-
protectors.
Mine came with it.
That's a new item.
Yep.
I got to tell you
And-
something. When I first got the, I got 2 AD200s now, but I started with 1, and within the first month after getting it,
Yep.
the bulb blew right away.
Oh, did it?
I think it was a fluke, and I had to order a new one. It was like $80,
Yeah.
and it kind of made me nervous thinking that So, but since I have two AD200s, I technically have a backup bulb because I rarely use both at the same time.
I'm just trying to figure out how to put this. I've never used this part yet, but there we go. There. I think it's on now. So it just protects it.
Nice.
So I
Looks
used
like-
this once the other day, but it came with two of them. And then
It looks like a film can.
I know, eh? And then to go with that, the kit came with two of these S2 mounts.
Nice.
Because there's a 1 and a 2 apparently.
That's for
It's
the 200s.
It's all metal, and it's for the 200s. Oops, just knocked my headphones out. So if you're talking, I won't be able to hear you for a second.
Blah,
But
blah,
this
blah,
would
blah.
just slide right into there,
Nice.
and it's not loose enough right now. I'd have to loosen this off a little bit, and then you just slide her in, and I think it goes actually this way. That's it. That's why I couldn't get it in. So you would just slide in like that, hammer
Nice.
it down there,
So, John, what
and
did you buy?
you're
Some
good
light
to go.
Oh, he can't.
And it's
hear
got a Bowens mount on it. I'll just put at least the one headphone in there. There we go. And it's got the Bowens mount on this here, so you can put a softbox and stuff in there.
me. Did you get a softbox or anything?
I didn't
Octodome,
originally,
umbrellas?
but I ordered it from Amazon, and it came in yesterday, and I just brought them to the studio today, actually. So I
Nice.
haven't had a chance to play them, but I ended up buying two of the. I think they're about. I'm guessing the sizes, but I think they're 8-inch by probably like 36-inch or something strip banks.
Strip banks. Okay.
Similar to the ones I had here before when you got here that I used for my headshots. But I got that fit the Bowens mount, so I could fit them on this no problem, or with my other one. And I also got one, so I got two of those, and then I got a 30, I think it's a 36-inch Octibox with a Bowens mount from Newer. And off of Amazon, and that way they fit
How big?
my. I think it's about 36-inch.
Is it like 6 sides, obviously, or 8?
It's 8. It's an Octibox, so it's like my Octibox I got from Pulsey Buff that I had here when you were here, but it's
How
a
big?
couple inches bigger.
Really, that's pretty big.
Yeah, it's
That's amazing.
yeah, it's about 36 inches. The normal one I
Okay.
had I think was a 32. Actually,
Okay.
no, I think it's about the same as my Pulsey Buff, the exact same.
Yeah. That's pretty small then. That's an average. That's a very functional size. Is
Yeah,
it
it's about 3
collapsible?
3 feet. Yeah, it's like an umbrella collapsible one.
Okay.
So you just open it up like an umbrella and push the metal piece in. And the good thing I liked about it too is it actually has a metal plate you can slide in on the pole, almost like on a beauty dish. Those kind of metal plates that are in there.
Yep.
And you can slide that in, so that way when you're using it, you don't get that hot spot in the middle. It actually hits that, distributes the light a little bit more throughout the softbox, and doesn't get that hot spot right through the center.
Cool.
So I'm dying to try them. I mean,
Wow.
I've got the kits now. I want to use them.
I use them all the time now. I have the 36-inch Octo, which doesn't collapse, which is a
Yep.
pain in the ass. I think that's important. I also can use the. I have a large Octodome. It's a 6-footer, but I bought that like 15 years ago, and I still use it. It does not collapse. Oh, I
Okay.
never bring it with me. But I do have an 80-inch PLM from.
Yeah, I have that one too. 86-inch, I think it is.
And that'll work on the 600, but it's tricky because you got to be very aware of the wind because you got one of those outside, and if it's at all windy, man,
Yeah.
you better hunker down. And even the small Octo, which is the one that I use the most,
Yeah.
I got to have my wife or my assistant holding that pole. And if it's really, really windy, I will go to a beauty dish, which I have as well for my 8600.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be better in the wind. So,
Yeah.
and if it's all really bad and I just can't, I'll just go bare bulb.
Yeah, I love my my Octi, and that's why I got it, because I love my other one. So there's the one I bought.
$100, can't
Yep,
beat that.
That was the one I bought. It came with the grid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you can see it's 36 inches. Yep. So and then if I go here, where is it here?
So you're converting over to Godox then. You're getting all the
I am, but I'm not. Like I still love my Einsteins from Pulsey Buff, and the only difference was none of my soft boxes were working with it because they all have the Alien B Pulsey buff ring on the back. Now when I bought my kit for an extra $12, so it came to like $36. I bought 3 of the Bowens mount speed rings that you're supposed to be able to use on different things, and I tried using them on my strip banks and my Octi and my large. I have one that's a bit from Pulsey Buff, my large softbox. It's about, I want to say it's about 2.5, 3 feet wide by about 5 feet tall. Nice big one. It's like a big window light. But when you take the back plate off of it that fits your Einsteins and you put these new ones on, they wouldn't fit on. The holes didn't line up where the screws goes to put them on. So I'm like, oh crap, I can't use these speed rings on my softboxes. That's why I had to buy these other ones softboxes.
Right.
Now I did get to use it on my, I did fit one of them on my beauty dish. I have a 20-something inch beauty dish that's got the Pulsey Buff mount on it. But when I took that plate off and I put this on, it had these big, huge type of, almost like, I don't know if you can see it there, but it's almost like this kind of screws that mount on the thing. I had 4 of those, and I was able to actually fit it on with those.
Cool.
And so I can actually use these Godox now on my beauty dish too. So I have a beauty dish, a 36-inch Octa, and 2 strip banks for all my Bowens mount right now.
Pretty cool.
So I'm excited because I know when I'm outdoors, I used to take my Octi boxes all the time. I had a Westcott one that worked with my speed lights, and I used to take that out and use it. Now I could take the 200s instead of my speed lights, which are more powerful, and they've got high-speed sync also.
Right.
And on bright days, I can even have my 600 if I need it. But I'm probably only going to use the 600 out in bright sun if I'm doing big families and that where I need that extra power. But when I'm just doing high school seniors or individual portraits or something outside, even trying to beat the light with the high-speed sync, I could probably get by with my 200, no problem.
The 200s,
very versatile.
Yeah, if you're doing individuals or couples, I wouldn't, personally, my experience is shooting beyond 2 people, they're not powerful enough. And so, yeah, families.
Well, and that's why I'll have the 600 with me, too, because I'll have the whole kit there, right?
Yeah, families. And can you see, I'm starting to use mine more in the studio. I'm all Alien Bees, but in the last year, I've been using the Godox a little bit more.
Yeah.
And the reason I've been trying the Godox in the studio is when I need to, not high-speed sync,
Yeah.
but I really want to bring the power way, way, way down. I want to shoot like at 1.8 or 1.4. No, my fastest lens is 1.8, the 85.
Yeah, because your lights in your studio are mostly Alien Bee and the old Pulsey Buff ones. I forget what they were called. The White Lightnings.
White Lightnings. And I have a hard time getting the power down. And I have by the way.
That's where I like my Einsteins. I can get the power down lower than the Alien Bees.
I bought oh man, it's massive. It's like 7 feet by 3-4 feet with softbox that goes on the Godox 600.
That's the one from Strobe Pro you told me about one time. Yeah.
So I started using that. And it's this large vertical softbox with the honeycomb grid in the front. And it is a beautiful light source. And so I will use that occasionally when I want to get that light work in the studio. I can't see using that outdoors, though. It's just too impractical. If I needed a large light source outdoors, I'd use the 80-inch PLM. So
yeah, no, definitely.
You'll find you're probably going to find uses for it.
Yep, I've used my 80-inch PLM out in the middle of a windy day. My wife and daughter both had to hold on to the stand. It was with my Einstein and my Vagabond mini battery pack I plugged into it. And it was a big group of I think it was about 50 people on a big hill. And so I had it right dead center, way above me, nice big light. And then I had 2 side lights coming in to kick. And it worked, but it was like they were holding onto a sail. So
yeah,
this would come in handy because I don't have to worry about the battery pack. That's what I like to. Now I didn't realize it until I bought them, and I'll have to invest in it now. People always told me that when your battery's running low, or if you just didn't want to run battery power, you could just plug it in and use it that way. But apparently, there's an actual external power pack that you can buy. Not power pack, but adapter that you buy if you want to do that. The actual plug that comes to charge the battery, it won't do that. You can't plug it in to the wall to charge the battery and use your Einstein at the same time and use that plug as a power source.
When
you
you
actually
said
have to buy a
Einstein,
separate one. No, with the Godox, sorry.
You meant to say Godox, okay.
Yeah, with the Godox. So if I want to do that, I actually have to buy. There's an external source you can pack, I guess, or plug you can buy.
So this is the charger that comes for the 600.
Yeah, and I have one similar to that. Yeah.
So you cannot plug this into the battery and use the battery at the same time?
You probably can, but it's not like you know how in your Alien Bees you want to use it, you just plug it into the wall and there's your power. Yeah. And I know some people like to do that with their 600. They like to be able to plug it into the wall and not waste their battery. But apparently the battery pack that comes with this, you can't do that with it. It won't work. So,
all right.
Like the battery pack that comes with it, it's similar to like the one you just showed me. It's this one.
Why couldn't you plug that into the
wall?
Well,
apparently all it does is charge the battery. It doesn't work as a power source for your light.
Okay. Well, if it's charging the battery, wouldn't that still work? No?
Well, and that's what I'm wondering. When you're using it, when you have it turned on, maybe it shuts this off from charging. I don't know.
Okay.
But they said that there's an external one of these, I guess you could buy that's specifically made just for that. I'm going to do more research and find out for sure. Because sometimes if you're in the studio or you're in a controlled situation where you don't need the battery pack, you don't need that versatility, you just want to plug it in the wall so you're not wasting your battery, I don't see why not. The other option is buy a second battery, but...
that's what I was going to say. And I got to tell you, these batteries last forever. So I can't imagine it being an issue. But if I was bringing it outdoors and I was, say, doing high volume, lots and lots of shoots, I would go with the second battery option.
Because I think they're about $150 or something, $250, something like that. And
little secret, I when I bought my 600, they gave me, for some reason there was 2 batteries in it, and I was like,
oh cool,
bonus.
That happened with my friend, one of the photographers in this area. He actually bought the Vagabond Mini for his lights way back when, and somehow when he got it, there was a second battery with his Vagabond Mini. Nice. So he didn't have, when you want to just change it, you can. So nice. Which was nice. But the other thing between mine and yours is yours can actually get more pops per charge. Apparently on yours, on full power, they say you can get roughly around 500 pops on full power.
Right.
With the Pro, apparently I can get about 380 on full power.
All right.
But the difference with that is negligible to me because when am I ever shooting at full power?
Never.
Hardly ever. So I'm usually at 1/8 of a power, quarter power.
Yeah.
So.
But not only that, when are you shooting at full power where you're going to need 380 shots? I mean,
exactly. So I'm not worried about it because I'm probably going to get thousands of shots, about 1,500 with 2,000 shots on a charge, no problem. And I'm not going to shoot that much.
Yeah,
so.
I bring mine on families. The battery leveler thing never starts to go down while I'm shooting. Yeah. It's always.
I'm excited to use it.
I use it on weddings quite a bit, and you'd think I'd wear it out more then, but no, not really.
Once I get used to them, and if I'm really happy with them, eventually what might end up happening is I might end up selling off my Einsteins and stuff and using that money to buy another 600. And eventually, I'd like to have at least 3 main. I have 3 Einsteins and I have 1 Alien B, and I would like to, if possible, replace at least a couple and maybe get 2 more of the 600s. So I'd have 3 600s and the 2 200s, and then I'd have a nice 5-light kit that I can use for almost any situation.
Yeah.
And if I had to, I'll sell off maybe 2 of my Einsteins and my Alien B and keep one of my Einsteins as a backup with my Vagabond Mini. And it'd be like a 6-light or something.
I could see going that way. I can totally see it. I would be very happy with 3 lights.
Yeah.
2 kickers and a main.
And that's what I got this for. Because I could use those 200s as kickers, no problem. Especially with the 2 strip banks I just got with it. I can use them as kickers and use the 600 as my main.
Unless you're doing a lot of work and you need to really be concerned with power, but that's, if that happens, good problem to have.
Exactly. Well, when you're in the studio shooting, I don't need a lot of power for kicker lights, so that's the good thing. So
one of the things about the system, and I'm going to ask you a question about this too. Did you buy the wireless transmitter?
Yes.
Which one did you get? Do you
have it's actually over my camera bag, but I got I can show it to you actually, but I got the it was the Pro one that come with for the Canon. Godox.
It was about $100, right?
Yeah. I think it came to it's like an extra $100 to $140 or something. I can show you a picture of it though. Definitely. Click on it, and I believe it's called the X Pro or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is there. There it is at Henry's there. I'll show you that one. I just typed it into Google and I found it at Henry's there. But I'll share the other screen with you instead, because that wasn't the right screen.
That's the one I have.
But I love it, and I used it yesterday for the first time, because I had to do a real estate shoot, and so I tested it out there. So I don't know if you can see that or not.
That's the one.
Yeah, so that's the one I got. It just fits right on your camera.
I paid $99.
Yeah. I know. That's at Henry's. That mine came with my kit. Like you can do add-ons. Like my kit, you could have chose which lights you wanted. It came with the 200 Pros, but you chose which 600 you wanted. They had the 600 BM, the other 600 that was like the BM but with TL or TTL, and then they had the Pro version. I clicked the Pro version, and then I clicked to add this trigger to it also.
So how much was it, and where did you
Altogether in Canadian dollars after taxes and shipping, because shipping was free because of how much I spent. So after everything, it came to, and I'm going off the top of my head, I think it ended up about $2,300 or $2,400, something like that.
And did you, something to consider, that wireless transmitter, did you buy a backup? That's
No.
me.
I know. I wanted to, but I just didn't know. I should have, but
I'm always paranoid that, if it breaks or if I lose it.
No, the good thing is if it does anything, I could use it with these nice little guys here if I needed to.
Those will fire your Godox?
As long as you plug them in to it. I got to find if there's that's a good point. There should be a place in there you can plug. Yeah, there is. I remember seeing the 600 does have a place on it.
Yeah.
That you can, if you needed to. I remember seeing I went to the tutorial to take a look at it, and on the top here, where you peel this back, there is a 3.5 inch on the top there, if you can see where my fingers, that you can plug. It says you can plug your Pocket Wizards in there. They don't recommend it, of course, because the only difference with that is then you'd have to come to the actual screen to do your changes and stuff, because...
But as a backup, it would make sense.
Yeah, as a backup, it's good to have.
All right, you have a system in case of... I'm always paranoid about something quitting, and shit, what am I going to do? So I always like backups.
No, and I have a feeling what I'm going to end up doing is buying an extra backup battery and another one of those triggers as a backup just in case in the future. But I just wanted to get the kit first and start using it.
So tell us about your real estate shoot you did.
Yeah. I used almost all of that I just showed you in there.
You did, eh?
Well, what I did, I was just using an old Canon 6D. So it's a 12-year-old camera or something like that, 10-year-old camera. But yeah, 20 megapixels, I think it is. And so I went in, and I do a mixture of, we were talking about this before, of sometimes I do just the HDR, but I've started doing what's called flambient. And so it's what I was actually using a mixture of flash and HDR. And then also on top of that, ambient and flash in one shot. So what I do is I'll take my base shot. So I'll find out what my base exposure is for that room, which is not hard. You just basically, I put on live view mode or whatever, and just get it to where it looks good. Take the live view mode off. I'm on a tripod, and I take my picture. And then from there, I'll do 2 stops below for my bracket. Then I'll do 2 stops above the main one. And that's how I get my base. I'll have 3 exposures there, from really dark to really bright, and one in between. Then when I'm done that...
You're not moving a tripod at all.
Not moving tripod at all. I keep the f-stop and the ISO the same, and I'm just changing my shutter speed. Reasoning for you don't want to change your aperture because it's going to change your depth of field. So I'm usually shooting around f8 at 100 ISO, or actually I think it was 400 ISO for this house. It was kind of dark. So it's 400 ISO, f8, and then wherever that shutter speed comes to, that for my main shot, that's it. And then I go 2 stops of the shutter speed down, 2 stops above that. There's my shot. Then I go back to that base one again, keep it at what it was for my base one, and then I take, I don't even know what I did with the rest, with my actual piece. But then I take my 200. Didn't have this. I had the Fresnel head on it, the normal head. And I had my trigger on top. And I put it on TTL. Some people might do it on like really low power and that, but I just put it on TTL. And then what I do is I don't actually touch the camera when I'm shooting, actually, because at the same time, I had bought a while ago back this cable here. Where's the camera? Right here. And it's actually got the attachment because it's got a little too, this end is a little too small. So I put this on to make it into a 3.5 inch or whatever it is that your camera can take. And this end is for, I know it's kind of close there, but this is like for a remote, basically.
Yeah.
On the side of my camera, I have a place you could plug a remote in. So I plug this into the camera for a remote. And then in my trusty little pocket wizard, plug it in. And then I just hang this off of my tripod. And then this one becomes my remote for my camera.
It'll fire the camera.
It fires the camera.
Even
so I don't
though
have to touch it. No camera shake, nothing.
Even though it's made to fire lights.
Yes, but you can use it as, with the right cable, you can turn them into a remote.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and so I just use this. So then when I have my camera set exactly where I want it on the tripod and I have my setting on there, I just stand back, wait a second, click. Then I change my exposure.
Hey, John.
Click.
How come I didn't know that?
I don't know. I think James used to use his as a remote too at one time, I think.
If he knew that, he never told me.
I could be wrong, but I think he did.
If he told me I wasn't paying attention, that's pretty cool.
No, the last time I did real estate, I actually set my camera in because you can actually have it do automatic bracketing.
Yeah.
Where you can set it. And I think you might have done this yourself when you did HDR back when you were doing outdoor stuff for that calendar once.
Yeah, the Nikon, but the Sony has that built in, and it's even much more improved.
Yeah, and the
It's
Canon has it
amazing.
built in too if I want to use it. I just didn't use it
It's
this time. But I did it
amazing.
before. And I'm trying to figure out what I did with my Fresnel head for that flash.
That's all good.
but yeah, but I did that, and then so what I did was I took this on that fourth shot on TTL, and I just held it above me at the camera onto the ceiling and popped the flash off the ceiling. Now you can't see the actual hot spot because it's above the camera, not in front of it. And it just adds a little bit more. And what I find it does is sometimes it adds a little better color to the image, but at the same time, it lights the ceiling a little bit better because when you're doing HDR, sometimes there's weird shadows from the window or something might be going on this thing. This will actually even out the colors and the shadows on the ceiling. And and then what I do is when I go and edit it, I'll either do the HDR versions first and then take them into Photoshop with that flambient one, the HDR figure and the flambient, take them into Photoshop as layers. Because on Lightroom, you can just click on them and say open up in Photoshop in layers, and it'll layer them. And then I'll use that sometimes for the ceiling. Today, what I did was I didn't.
Let me just go back for a sec.
Yep.
So you got 3 base images without any flashes, 1 average, 1 overexposed, 1 underexposed.
Exactly.
To get the detail in the shadows and get the detail in the highlights.
Correct.
And then how many shots are you getting with these flashes that you're going to also use?
Just one.
You just take 1 extra
Just
flash?
the one. Yeah, whatever my base exposure was originally, I just put it back to that exposure, and then I use TTL and just pop it off.
So you have 4 files that you're
4
going to
files.
combine, which is what you were just describing. All
Yeah,
right.
but normally what I do is I just combine the 3 images first.
Right.
To get my HDR version done. Once the HDR, if it looks good, I'll just leave that. But if I find I need that extra little touch to it,
All right.
then what I could do is I can use the flambient to help balance out certain areas and stuff.
That's pretty lean and mean. I just want to mention something that Ken Fraser, I had him on a presentation a couple of years ago, and he was talking about this. He does this it's very similar, John, but I think he takes a bunch more extra exposures.
Okay.
And he explains it all. And I put that replay in the Facebook group. So all you
Okay.
got to do is go to the right. If you guys are interested in checking that out, it's really, really cool. Go into the group and check on the right. You will see that there is a topics. Okay, topics in this group, and the top one is called Lighting Mastermind. Click that, and you'll see the replay with some of the notes from Ken. You got to scroll down a little bit to get to it, but it's in there. And there's a bunch of commentary as well, and it's quite fascinating. So
that's how I used it right there.
hold on. Yeah.
Now, a little trick I was told, I was watching on YouTube, and there was a photographer who's actually got a degree in engineering and electrical engineering, and they specialized when he was in college on energy and stuff. So he knows all about batteries and stuff.
Right.
And he says when you're not using your flash, you should just take your battery out. Same with your cameras too. Any lithium-ion batteries, just take them out because they'll have tendency to drain while they're sitting in there.
I did not know that.
And on top of that, you should never run it completely dead. Take it down to like 10%, maybe 15, whatever, but always try and start charging it. Never leave it alone charging. So pop it in your charger. If you got to leave something, take it off the charger, do what you got to do, and then go put it back on again. Always never leave it unattended. Because if you want to kill more of the battery, you end up charging it and leave it on the charger. He says never leave it on charger when it's 100%, because the longer you leave it on, it actually drains the battery, some life off of the battery. Yeah. And on top of that, he even said, now I've never noticed this, and I don't know if I'll follow that part, but he said never charge it to 100%. He says these batteries, actually, the photocells, actually, they don't like to be charged fully. Charge it to like 90, 95, but never charge it. I don't know. I just put on the charger till it's charged and take it off.
But yeah, it's going to be hard for me to sort of focus on getting it just before 100. I don't know to what degree that's going to matter.
Exactly.
If it's really going to give you that much of an advantage. So
I have no clue. I just put it in, and when it starts, and I'm guilty of putting it in the charger and coming back the next morning and taking it off the charger. For all I know, I could blow the whole place up. I don't know, because he says it heats it up, of course, and then you got a hot battery there, and at any time it can cause fire.
I'm looking at the Lighting Mastermind hashtag in the Facebook group. It's the third right now. It's the third one down. As I add more, it'll get pushed down. Okay. And you could see it in their real estate photography presentation with Ken Fraser.
I'll definitely check that out.
It's quite amazing. So,
but it's great. You can go on YouTube and find a lot of this stuff out too. That's where I found a lot of them, like the flambient and stuff. And I used to do like a 5 exposure HDR before I was doing the flash. I would do a 5 exposure, where I would do the main exposure and then 1 stop and then 2 stops both ways.
Right.
And I just found I didn't need that 1 stop down. It didn't do much difference. So I figured.
What lens did you use?
I'm sorry. That was my 16 to 35 Canon lens.
At what?
It was probably between 24 and 16, because some of the rooms were hard to get into, so you have to do the wider, but then it distorts it quite a bit. So I'm usually around the 24 mark if I can, which is what I think most real estate and architectural photographers use, is around 24 mil.
This seems to be the one.
Yeah.
I had another question. I can't remember.
But on Lightroom, it's good because you have a transform tool and you have a camera tool where you can go on to, I forget what it's called, the camera calibration, I think it's called, down there, and you can click to correct the chromatic aberrations in case there's any, and you can click on lens profile, and it actually will pick up my Canon lens 1635, and it corrects it for any distortions and any vignetting on the edges. It corrects it for me. And then you can go to the transform part of Lightroom, and you can fix your vertical lines, your horizontal lines, things like that, to make it look nice and straight, as if you were using a tilt and shift lens type of thing. Not as good as a tilt shift lens, but at least it gets you through a punch.
Cool. Well, that's amazing. There you go. He's already put him to work and making a bit of money on the side, even though
taught Rob to use his pocket wizards as a trigger.
Yeah, who knew?
Yep.
I learned something new.
As a remote. When you come here in July, as long as we're not locked down and you can still come, we'll show you how that works. Because you have the same triggers or the same pocket wizards. The Plus X, you have the same ones.
I do, yeah.
So I'll show you how to do that.
And they all work, so.
As long as you get the right cord for your camera. This one I got fits for my Canon cameras as a remote. It's got like a little 3-pin thing that you stick in. So
I don't know that I'm going to need it because, well, unless I need a remote. Yeah, I got to.
Yeah, if you need a remote, like if there's anything you're like, even when you're doing children, like your fairies, if you have it, you like to handhold. But if you're on a tripod shooting a family or something like that, then you can take yourself away from behind the camera, not even have to touch it, and you can just sit there talking to them and just be pushing the button, and they won't even know you're shooting it. So.
Well, they'll know because the flash is going off.
If you're using flash, of course. But if you're not using flash.
I have a Godox Invisi flash. They don't even know.
Now, a good part you could do is you can set up in your little weddings that you do, your pop-up weddings, set up a second camera somewhere with a wide-angle lens or something, and you could be shooting away, and then all of a sudden pull out your pocket wizard and have the other one on your other camera, and you could be at the front of the wedding, and the camera could be in the back on track, and just click it and start firing your camera, get some cool shots.
Could do that too.
Do a remote camera.
That's pretty amazing. So there you go. Godox.
Yep. Do it from a high angle or something of the whole wedding coming down, and then you can just trick it. So it works.
Let's shift gears. We're coming up to an hour. Well, we started late, so we're actually at 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's 47.
47 minutes. So let's spend about 20 minutes talking about this next topic. We're going to take a total left turn deep dive. And I don't know exactly how to approach this, but I thought one thing I could do is I'm going to give an overview, bring up some of the content, and you can tell me, in your opinion, what it means, and I'll do the same.
Okay.
So, but the first thing I want to mention, though, is that I like to read a lot, and I read a lot of books on anything to do with self-help or history. I love history books. Anything to do with trends. I love that kind of stuff. And if I really like a book, I will underline parts of it that I really enjoy. And I started doing this, I remember back in the late 90s. I would take whatever I underlined and I'd put it into another book, like a binder thing, so I could access it. And a couple of years ago I did the same thing, but this time I created a file for each of the books I've read, and then I create a PDF, and I've put them in the forum.
Okay.
And let me just show you. I'm going to talk quickly about what I've already got in the forum. And then
let me know if you want to share it on here. We can bring it up.
I don't think I need to.
Okay.
I'm just going to bring it up real quick here. I call them Cliff Notes. Cliff was the name of a dude.
I remember Cliff Notes.
Yeah. So that's
back in school.
I have 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. I've got Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. That's a freaking awesome book. Jim Rohn, which is a seminar that he gave in the early 90s. I got the notes from that. Brene Brown and Tim Ferriss. Scientific Advertising by Claude Hopkins, Claude Hopkins is considered to be the grandfather of modern advertising. I have two from Stephen Pressfield. He's an author and also a screenwriter. He's done many movies that we've done. The book is called War of Art, and Nobody Wants to Read Your Shit. They're amazing. They're amazing books. 8-9 months ago, I read this book called Be Like Amazon. And I so all of the books I just mentioned, I put them as a PDF for the members to go grab. And the one that I just did lately is called The Power Bible.
Okay.
By Brendan Lemon and William Petit. I've been following a guy by the name of James Altucher for many years. I found him on Quora. He's amazing. And he's authored many books, and I tend to buy them all, and I follow him on his Facebook group as well. There's a private Facebook group, and he's a bit quirky, but I really like his style and especially like how he writes. So anyways, he created a couple of years back his project where he's pushing people to write their own books, and this was what these guys, they're part of that group.
Okay.
So I found this The Power Bible, which I think is a really bad title. I don't understand the title. Even worse than that is the logo. It's the most bizarre thing. It's a crown with a hangman noose hanging from the bottom of it. I was like, what the hell does that mean? I don't understand it. But I just thought that the title could be much better. But I started reading it, I don't know how many months ago, and I do this all the time. On Kindle or Google Books, I'll start reading a sample of a book I think I might like. And if I like it, I'll buy it. So that's a really awesome strategy that they're doing. And I instantly fell in love with this book. So I read a lot of books on self-help and success, and I'm kind of bored with a lot of them because I've been reading them since I was 20 years old. So I'm a little bit jaded. So it better have an interesting take for me to really grab onto it. And this book did, as well as Grant Cardone's Be Obsessed or Be Average. Be Obsessed or Be Average. That's right from Grant Cardone. He's got another book called Sell or Be Sold. I love his titles. Those are good titles.
Yep.
So, anyways, having said that, I read. So I created this 9-page PDF, and it's in the forum. This is what I recommend everybody do. This is what I do, and you got to do the same thing. I print it out, and I staple it, and I have them beside my morning coffee area. And first thing I do in the morning before I get on social media or anything is I go through one page of all of the summaries that I have. So I'll cycle through it. So 9 pages, after 9 days, I'll start it over again. I do that over and over and over and over and over and over. It's a really cool way to keep that information fresh in my brain. If you read the Power Bible, you'll see what I mean. If you read the notes, you'll get it. You'll get it. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Now, I've been into recovery for 30 years. I don't know if you knew that about me, John.
No, I remember you talking once about it.
So a lot of this stuff is parallels that, amazingly enough. And anybody who's been successfully in recovery, 12-step program, knows what I'm talking about when they know how well it works if you work it. So if you apply yourself, you really, really do see transformation. So this is all to say that this stuff is universal. Okay. And I highly recommend it for anybody who wants to grow their business and themselves as a personal project. So, because really we are all our own personal projects, and we're a work in progress. So we're either stagnating or we're moving forward. So even if you're making slow steps forward, it's important. And I believe your business will prosper more so, and you'll open yourself up to more opportunities and adventures and prosperity. So definitely. Anyways, I don't know how far we'll get into this, but if we get a little bit into it and we run out of time, that's cool, because there's always more we can grab later. So
definitely.
So the first line in this, the highlights, the cliff notes, he says, Emerson summed up the respect and authority concept when he said, "Do the thing and you shall have the power." So the next line says, self-control is the art of controlling your circumstance. The more you respect yourself, the more you can control yourself. The more you respect yourself, the more you can control yourself. The more you can control your actions, the faster you can transform your circumstance. You will also notice that the greater your ability to control yourself, the less others can control you. So this is really all about knowing yourself. Yeah. And if you know yourself and you're honest with yourself and you make yourself accountable, you're going to have, well, I hate to sound cliche, but the word that was really used a lot in the 90s was empowerment. This is what we're talking about. So you're tapping into your own true self and your authentic self, and you're lending power to that adventure, to that direction you're going to. A lot of people have a hard time with this, generally speaking, and there are different reasons why that is the case. Largely, the main ones are ego and fear. So this book is about forging your own destiny. The actions necessary to live an ideal life will often inconvenience others. Let me repeat that. The actions necessary to live an ideal life will often inconvenience others. So if you're prone to be a people pleaser, if you're a codependent, that's basically what they're saying. You're really putting a roadblock. And for many of us, especially if we're born under the influence of a quasi-quarter or full-on blown narcissistic, especially a narcissistic mother, will end up being an extreme people pleaser. So the actions, let me repeat that a third time, the actions necessary to live an ideal life will often inconvenience others. So we don't want to inconvenience others. We want them to like us. We want people to be happy with us. You know what I mean, right?
I do.
So your ability to say no to opportunities, even good ones, is necessary to live an extraordinary life. Yeah. Anything you want to add to that? I know you're agreeing with me. You're nodding your head.
A lot of it is stuff that I had to learn myself in the long run, because I was guilty of a lot of that stuff, and I had to learn that self too. I had no problem respecting myself, loving myself, things like that. I've never had a problem with that, but it was more, like you said, worrying about what others thought of you. I had to get rid of that. Like you said, the fear, the ego, I know there's a lot of people out there, when you read that, you're thinking about how many times have you had a client that you've shot in the past, maybe once or twice, and then all of a sudden you're on their profile on Facebook or something, you see some pictures pop up from another photographer that shot that couple, and you're like, what, did I do something wrong or something? Like, I had to get that out of my mind. It's like, you know what? Everybody's different. Maybe they knew that person. You have to worry. There's other circumstances that could have caused that. It had nothing to do with you. So, like you said, it's an ego thing. You start thinking the ego, or worrying about what others online are going to. How many times do you make a post on there and people go and they're looking every day to see how many likes they get on it, and then they're upset because they only got 10 likes. It's got nothing to do with it. I mean, you just got to be, like you said, true to yourself. Be respectful of yourself, and you know what you can do, and you're happy with yourself, and success will come. So I think that's why I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, because I think it hits home too with me. So
that's a really good example, by the way. So
yeah,
and it applies to, I believe, 99% of us. So to say no, you need to have enough self-authority to say no, and even more to follow through when you do say it. Mm-hmm. So it takes self-authority to say no. It takes even more to apply it and live it out. Both are hard if you don't respect yourself. You as an individual have an identity too. It remains a nebulous composition of personality traits and preferences with no organizing principle, no clear mission to help organize and refine their character. It is from this unorganized mess, that many create their identities. So that's where our identities are created from. Mm-hmm. Remember, if you do not choose a character, the world will pick one for you. So if you don't make a stand and decide who you're going to be, the world will decide who you're going to be. And then
very
you're
true.
Whims, and you'll never grow.
No.
And, so it says here, think hard about your character. And this stuff I kind of knew at many levels, but the way they describe it, I find it just so enlightening and so cool. So think hard about your character, like in a video game. There's a persona there. Who are you? Outline what he wants out of life. What is her goal? Where would he need to live to accomplish this goal? What is standing in her way? What excuses does he not accept? What does she look like? What does he do on a daily basis? What kind of food does she eat? What does she do on the weekend? So there's all these like practical day-to-day examples of what it is.
You can add pricing in there too, because how many times have you don't want to be known as the cheap Walmart priced photographer. If you want to be a high-end studio, you got to price yourself that way, or else, like you said, that they're going to perceive you as he's $50. His stuff may not be that good or something like that. He's the cheap photographer. And
even if you feel uncomfortable with pricing yourself at that level, do it anyways, and create this persona that you will aspire to become.
Exactly.
It says here that the person you outlined is the strongest version of yourself. He or she is an ideal you. This is the person you will be working towards. You can't start at the ideal because you do not have enough self-respect. Mm-hmm. Nor do you have enough self-authority to transform yourself overnight. Your transformation will take time and effort. This is why many people fail their New Year's resolutions.
Yep.
Much of the anxiety we experience in the morning when we wake up or when we are alone is not from living up to our standards. Whoa.
Heavy.
So if you're feeling those insecurities and what have you, it's because you're not living up to your best self. Yeah. When you reframe it that way, to me, I see nothing but opportunity. Mm-hmm. The more you squandered your potential, the louder the internal voice of disdain. Now, how much anxiety and disdain is going on in today's modern society? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's rampant. It's just like it's flooded.
Out of control.
Out of control. And I'm going to, in part, one of the activities that I think is, and I'm not going to blame the tool, I'm going to blame the person for falling for the tool. And that is social media.
Yep.
You got to control it, man. If you stay in a state of self-disgust for long enough, you will descend into depression, having so little self-respect and self-authority that you don't get out of bed. People try to avoid these voices by self-medicating with drugs, sex, porn, or video games. Ironically, the longer you run away, the louder the voice gets. Uh-huh. A lot of that occurs because they accept values from their social environments that they never decided for themselves.
Yep.
This was imposed upon you. Remember, if you don't have that character created,
People are going to put it on you.
the society will create it for you.
Yep.
Part of the reason some people find it difficult to have self-esteem is because they've accepted social narratives, aka stereotypes, claiming that they are of lesser value. Honesty is powerful, but complete transparency is foolish. The kind of honesty that we are challenging you to encourage in yourself is one of non-judgmental, straightforward, scientific observation. So be objective. Mm-hmm. This is nothing new. Like, this is in the book Think and Grow Rich, when there's a chapter from Napoleon Hill on accurate thinking. Actually, no, it's not from Think and Grow Rich, but it's very similar. He wrote another book where he's dedicated, one of his key principles was called accurate thinking. In here, they're saying scientific observation. So be objective. When being honest, don't be angry, emotional, or fearful. Instead, challenge yourself to be objective and straightforward. By the way, there's 12 steps in AA, which there are 12 steps in many, many groups. And this stuff here is in there. It's called step 4. When being honest, don't be outline your current character. Be ruthlessly honest with your assessment. Record rather than write your answer, as many people will stop short of their self-assessment out of laziness. I don't know why they're saying record. I think maybe just record your voice. That's their suggestion. I always prefer writing it out, but they're saying it takes a little more discipline to write it out, so most people will quit because they're lazy.
Yep.
Ask yourself the question, how do I act against my own self-interest? What do I regularly do that makes me lose respect for myself? What small things could I do that would make a big difference in my life? What do I respect about myself? What don't I respect about myself? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much authority do you have over yourself? What is one thing that you could do every day that would increase this number? This is really good stuff here. You know, if you're really honest and you do the work and you apply to this and you look at your all these different aspects, you're going to put yourself in a position to move forward to some amazing heights. Well, here's an interesting one. Ask yourself, how do the foods that I eat impact my self-respect, my respect? Think about what kind of meals make you feel worse about yourself and what meals make you feel proud. A person who respects himself feels no general anxiety when they are alone. The person who completely accepts himself feels no social anxiety. Oh man, I was full of social anxiety, like just debilitating. Self-acceptance, that's why one of the reasons I drank a lot. Self-acceptance is your projection of people's perception on you.
Definitely.
Respect is your perception of yourself. People profit from you finding yourself unacceptable. I like this one. People profit from you finding yourself unacceptable. Corporations sell you the cure for your unacceptability, but what they are selling is a distraction. So, why should you accept yourself? There is nothing more parasitic to your frame, by the way, mindset, than lack of self-acceptance. Your feeling that these characteristics make you deficient is a lie, and you are going through the process of accepting the truth, which is that you should be proud of your immutable characteristics. I came to that sort of position after I sobered up. Like, I've always been one that worked hard on myself, and I've always used to go to seminars and workshops, but I never really applied it, nor did it make any long-lasting change until I decided to, when I started to sober up, when I went into recovery, and boom, it just flourished, totally flourished for me. And I became proud of my immutable characteristics. And the characteristics were often put me as an outlier, and I would attract other outliers. And I was like, you know what? It's who I am. It's who they are. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of myself. We're freaks and geeks and misfits and miscreants. Yeah, that's totally okay.
Exactly.
Many people sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I wrote some stuff down because what you're saying reminds me of a lot of things that I heard, and stuff like being honest to yourself and stop blaming others for your failure. It reminds me of a line from a Rocky movie where he's talking to his son who
I
was
remember
failing
that.
it.
I remember
And he
that.
basically was saying that you got to be honest to yourself and stop blaming others for your failures. When it's not when you get knocked down that defines who you are. It's how you get back up and move forward is who defines who you are. And so you got to take responsibility for yourself. And basically everything you're saying there almost tells me that that's basically what it's saying. Be honest with yourself and take honus on what you do and take acceptance for whatever happens to you and change it if you want to or keep it the way it is. But you can't blame other people. You've got to look at inside yourself and say, why is this not working? Why am I like this? And make changes that you have to do yourself. Can't rely on other people.
That's a really good scene, and I think it was a outdoor scene downtown.
Yep.
Some right outside,
Walking down the street or something.
right outside his restaurant. It's a really good motivational scene.
It is.
Uh,
And that's
highly
everything you're saying reminded me of that scene.
Yeah. Sylvester Stallone, I think, loves that kind of stuff, and that's
Yeah.
sort of a part of his mindset, and he incorporates that in the Rocky story.
Well,
And-
it's because if nobody would actually let him, nobody would cast him as an actor anywhere. That's what I read. He wanted to be an actor. Nobody would cast him, so he said, "I'll make my own movie." And he made Rocky, and he pumped on. He actually produced it himself, I think, or funded it himself somehow, and
Yeah,
made it work.
He got somebody to take it. I forget who, but
Yeah.
whoever eventually produced the film. But he insisted that he had a screenplay, and he said, "I'm playing the role," and they wouldn't
Yeah.
let him. But he said, "No, I'm
Exactly.
not selling this unless," and that's pretty bold. I mean,
It
they
is.
offered him money.
But it paid off.
Yeah,
He, like you said, he believed in himself and respected himself to do it.
he did. Takes a lot of guts because he was poor and struggling. The victim frame. So let's close off with this because you just mentioned it, blaming others, and they call it the victim frame, and it's an important part I wanted to get to. So this is a good time to sort of get there.
Definitely.
I've always felt myself fortunate that I've, for the most part, never liked playing victim, never blaming, whining, or complaining. It just takes your power away.
Yeah.
You know, even if something bad happens to you and the other people are 100% at fault, if you take a position of victim, you are still disempowering yourself. So they say here, the victim frame corrupts information while the champion frame builds. If you have a strong victim frame, it will be impossible for you to feel in control of your life. That's pretty good.
Yep.
The frightening and exciting thing about these two frames is that they become more powerful the more you feed them. Having a victim frame can make it easier for you to become coerced to act violently. Whoa. For example, most school shooters have a manifesto where they talk or write about being a victim in their entire lives. What white supremacists and Islamic radicalists have in common is that they believe the entire world is against them. Pretty extreme examples, but it's true. Some members of the group feel so victimized by the world that they carry out violent acts on others. Hitler used the narrative about how the German people were victims, and he used it to grab power in Germany and to validate his reasons for declaring war against the world. Developing a champion frame is simple. Interpret everything that people do or say to you as a compliment. So if somebody says, "Hey, John, you're an asshole," you say, "Oh, thank you." I love
I've
being
been
an
called worse, I'm sure.
Interpret your doubts as a symptom of not working hard enough or a sign that you need to find mentors or books to help you find a way. Finally, laugh off failures and take aggressive action to ensure that mistakes will never happen again. Emotions are an indication from the deep brain on what's happening. Emotions are not you. It is of utmost importance that this is understood. So, yeah. So there's lots more. And I encourage you guys to go print it out if you're in the forum, and as well as all the other ones, because it's kind of a shortcut. Cliff notes, that's what they are.
Yep.
Cheat notes gets you there nice and fast, and
Definitely.
I thought
Used
we'd
it in
talk
school all the time, my Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing Shakespeare, you go and find the Shakespeare Cliff Notes to know what you're talking about because you can't understand half the stuff they were talking about.
They talk about jealousy, anger, and fear. You know, I've always said fear is the most powerful emotion
Yep.
and addictive. It's the
Yep.
most addictive emotion. We're
Yep.
addicted to fear. And
I was for the longest time.
Really, eh? How's that?
Well, up until I got my own brick and mortar studio, I was just too afraid to make that leap. Do it out of my house, do it part-time while I had a full-time job, because I was afraid to quit my full-time job, because what if it didn't work? I had a wife and a daughter at the time. Now I have 2 daughters, but then my company laid me off, and I had no choice. I went into it full friend, and we did it out of my house for a couple of years, and then we got brick and mortar studio, and I've been doing it like that ever since. So you just got to get out of that fear, like you said, and just jump in with all feet. And if you fail, you fail. How many times has Trump failed, and then he became a millionaire, and then became president of the United States?
Oh, you said the T word. You just pissed off half the people. Now they're never going to talk to you again.
Yeah.
So, no, but fears, yeah, that's interesting. And another way with which I find fear plays out with a lot of people is by over-analyzing, over-strategizing, and waiting to get it perfect. So perfection. I'm just going to tell you their description of fear. Fear is a deep, deep, deep emotion that runs the foundational background program in your brain. This is true. We've evolved from a state of fear. I don't know if you've ever read the book Sapiens, but he talks about how humans were never the apex creature. What do you call the apex creature? The predator. We were never the apex predator. Okay, so we were about middle. We were at risk of being predated upon.
We weren't the alpha.
No. But through technology, we became the alpha overnight because we learned how to make fire and weapons and use strategies to work as a group.
Yeah.
So we'd go out and we'd hunt, and we did stuff that allowed us to be successful. But that, evolutionarily speaking, is literally in an instant. So our programming was still fear-based. Our abilities shot through the roof. We became apex creatures. So we're running around as humans to this day in that state of fear. So if you realize it and recognize it, fear prevents you from acting boldly, acting with confidence, displaying confidence in those people because it reinforces feelings of inferiority, vulnerability, and it creates anxiety. I'm done with that. All right.
A lot of good points.
Just wanted to share that with everybody. Now, next week, hopefully, I got Chad Pennington to join us as a guest. He's a New York wedding photographer. He's amazing.
Cool.
I've had him on twice before, and I asked him. I was hoping to get him on today. Amongst the whole list of names that we have, people who have said that, they're coming in. And if you didn't watch last week's, we had Brian DeMint. That was pretty cool.
That was a really good one. No, I really enjoyed that one. Learned a lot from him. And just his personality, I mean, he's just got one of those bigger than life personalities that just engulfs you. Mm-hmm. You can't help not like this guy.
I think Maggie's in the same category.
Yeah.
I want to get Maria soon, too. We've been talking
me too.
about her.
Yeah.
And,
I was talking to her last week, actually, or later. I think she was watching. I don't know if she still is right now or not, but she was watching. But I was just talking to her actually a couple days ago. Not last week. It was a couple days ago I was just talking to her.
She's in Mexico right now, but she's coming home today, and I texted her this morning, and we were having a conversation going on, too.
Yeah.
And, we're going to get her in there, and
I thank you for getting me in with Maria, because I met her in 2014 at the Toronto Inferno. That was the first time I met her.
Yeah.
I was there, and ever since, her and I have kept in touch and gained I always say, at the time, she was still in Pittsburgh, I think it was, and I kept telling her I'm going to try and come down and visit, and I never made it down, and now she's even further south, so now if I go, it's going to, of course,
Carolina.
Now I got to go even further.
Well, I think it's going to be worth the trip.
Yeah.
Road trip, hit the highway. Definitely
I'll call up Robbie, and we'll go for a road trip together.
I'm in as soon as the borders open up. So, all right, let's wind her down.
All
right. What do you say?
I agree.
Thanks.
It has been a good one. Sometimes you need just little ones like this.
Yeah. Well, we went almost an hour and a half, so I think it was a lot of good information.
I hope so. So, next week we'll talk weddings.
Or something. Yeah, possibly.
something.
If we can get Chad in there, I mean, his stuff is amazing. I mean, and it applies to anything
Definitely.
to do with portraiture.
Yep.
You'll see.
The one thing I love about wedding photographers, and we'll talk about it next week, is you learn to think on the spot, think in your head right at the moment, because there's so many different things that come thrown at you that you have to know how to troubleshoot right on the way. So you learn to think on the spot. So I think that's what helped me. So
you see things quick and pick them up real fast.
Exactly.
And apply them to your work. So, all right.
Sounds good. We'll talk to everybody later. Yeah. All right. Thanks guys, for watching.
Thanks, Johnny. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.